killing senior Iranian leaders and damaging infrastructure, Iran has responded with a series of missile attacks and retaliatory strikes across the region. Washington carried out major strikes. It targeted a large ammunition depot in Isfahan using 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs. On the battleground in Iran, visuals released by the Iranian Red Crescent showing the aftermath of a strike in Tehran buildings, reduced to rubble, smoke rising, rescue teams searching for survivors amid the widespread destruction there. In Lebanon, smoke was seen rising from Beirut's southern suburbs after fresh Israeli airstrikes. The attacks come after Hezbollah fired rockets towards northern Israel in support of Iran. The IRGC has announced that from the 1st of April, it will target U.S. companies operating in the region in retaliation for the strikes on their pharma infrastructure. 18 major U.S. technology and industrial giants, including Microsoft, Apple, Google, Intel, Boeing, have been named as potential targets. President Trump, meanwhile, has threatened to destroy Iran's main oil export hub, Kharg Island, as well as critical oil wells and power plants. He insists that a diplomatic deal must be reached soon, also urging other countries reliant on oil from the Strait of Hormuz to protect their own interests, hinting that the U.S. will not always be there to defend global supply. Very significant statement. And shortly after Trump's post, Italy reportedly refused authorization for some U.S. aircraft that were headed to West Asia on a combat mission. The permission to land at its base there has been denied. This coming a day after Spain, remember, closed its airspace to U.S. planes involved in attacks on Iran. At the same time, the Gulf Arab states, including Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, have established a unified position. They are calling for de-escalation and an end to the war. According to reports, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain are pushing Washington to keep hammering Iran until there are significant changes in the leadership. Taking to X, Pete Hegseth posted pictures of his recent visit to West Asia over the weekend, where he interacted with soldiers on the ground. Hegseth asserting that the next few days in the war will be decisive and there is nothing Iran can do about it. Listen to this.
Just 1 month in, only 1 month, we set the terms. The upcoming days will be decisive. Iran knows that, and there's almost nothing they can militarily do about it. Yes, they will still shoot some missiles, but we will shoot them down. Of note, the last 24 hours saw the lowest number of enemy missiles and drones fired by Iran. They will go underground, but we will find them.
Conflicting reports have been doing the rounds on the next steps. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump may consider ending the air campaign without resolving the Strait of Hormuz issue, leaving the possibility of a later operation to reopen it. In contrast, the Pentagon is considering weeks of ground operations reportedly deep inside Iran. All of the speculation coming amid U.S. troop movements across the region. We've been telling you about that. And Israel's defense forces have now announced that they will complete targeted strikes on Iranian military facilities by the 1st of April. Iran, in turn, has launched missiles at central Israel, all of which were intercepted by air defenses, though debris caused damage. The Iranian Revolutionary Guards claiming to have struck Israel-linked assets and U.S. forces across the Gulf. The human cost of the escalation also mounting. Casualty figures across the region are shocking, to say the least. Iran has lost 3,462 people, with 24,810 injured. Lebanon has 1,238 people dead, 3,543 Israel records, 32 killed, 6,090 injured, US reporting 13 killed, 302 injured. Those are the numbers on the map. Significant deaths and injuries also reported in Syria, Oman, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan. Now, additionally, 3 UN peacekeepers from Indonesia have been killed in southern Lebanon, 2 in a vehicle explosion of unknown origin, and 1 from projectile fire as Israel and Hezbollah clash in the region. And with the war entering this decisive phase now, the outlook remains rather uncertain. The next moves by the US, Israel, and Iran could determine the future of the region and beyond. The war is only becoming all the more dangerous. The US is using heavier 900 kg bombs on Iranian fortified sites. Israeli jets, meanwhile, continued their targeted strikes. Iran, despite firing lower number of missiles, is still inflicting pain on its adversaries. Iran claims to have unleashed Qaani missile. The story now bringing you the latest from the battle zone.
Two massive explosions sending columns of smoke in central Iran's Isfahan. Iran says that American-Israeli strikes hit military bases, a cancer drug plant and a religious site. The United States has once again warned Iran to accept a deal, warning that the next phase of the war will be decisive, while saying that the number of Iranian missile fires have gone down considerably.
Yes, they will still shoot some missiles, but we will shoot them down. Of note, the last 24 hours saw the lowest number of enemy missiles and drones fired by Iran. They will go underground, but we will find them. We recently destroyed another one of their command bunkers. Leaders forced to flee, no water, no power, no oxygen.
While the American claim is right, Iran is now firing lesser number of missiles and drones. But Iranian forces are constantly calibrating its strategy. Iran is now depending on heavier missiles. Iran claims to have fired an upgraded version of the Qaani missile. This missile has a range of roughly 1,000 kilometers. It can carry a 600 kg warhead. It is a road-mobile system which can be launched from various locations. Iran is relying on Imad, Qiyam and Khorramshahr 4 in its latest attacks. These missiles are faster, more accurate and built for one purpose: to penetrate the Iron Dome and Patriot batteries. Tel Aviv once again came under attack. Petah Tikva in central Israel was targeted by Iranian missiles. Israel says that the damage was caused by cluster munition. This drone footage shows the damage to buildings in Israel's Bnei Brak.
I look around and I see the rocket left and landed on a building right beside us. Went and checked for my father and then we went to see if there is anybody there that needs help.
The month-long war has spread across West Asia, killing thousands, disrupting energy supplies and threatening to send the global economy into a tailspin. Attacks by both sides show no signs of easing, with fears of a wider regional conflict now growing. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Stopping Iran's nuclear program has been at the forefront of Trump and Netanyahu's campaign in Iran. Operation Epic Fury, which was launched on the 28th of February, aiming to prevent Iran from achieving weapons-ready nuclear stockpile. And with the war raging for over a month now, and despite Tehran losing key figures in its leadership, Iran's fight back is making it hard for US and Israel to further make any deep military operation. While airstrikes and long-range attacks can damage facilities, destroying or removing Iran's nuclear stockpile would likely require a full-scale ground invasion. With more than 50,000 troops already present across West Asia and reports of 82nd Airborne slated to join that force, Washington's intention of putting boots on the ground has also been talked about. But such operation would not only face Iran's military fury, but also its natural defenses. Let's just break this down for you. The Zagros Mountains, which basically stretch over 1,500 kilometers across western Iran, creating a natural wall, shielding the country from land invasions from Iraq and Turkey. The range extending towards the southern coast near Bandar Abbas, adding an extra layer of defense. Meanwhile, the Alborz Mountains, running along the southern coast of the Caspian Sea, stretching about 900 kilometers. This range forming a barrier between the Caspian coast and central Iran, making any advance through northern Iran a complex and rather dangerous task. Second, Iran's central deserts, which also add another layer of protection. Dasht-e-Kavir in north-central Iran, stretching about 800 kilometers, with salty, rocky terrain, making vehicular movement difficult, large-scale operations also costly. And to the southeast, Dasht-e-Lut is one of the hottest deserts in the world, with temperatures reaching up to 70 degrees Celsius, the desert stretching 480 kilometers and creating a natural obstacle for troop movement, providing strategic defense depth behind Iran's mountain ranges. So that's what the scenario looks like. Iran also controlling key islands in the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz, which provides strategic advantage, basically. Karg Island, which is located 25 kilometers off the coast, is an oil export hub with flat terrain, but easy to defend, using missiles, artillery and drones. Abu Musa, Greater and Lesser Tun are close to the UAE coast and critical shipping lanes. They allow Iran to control tanker movement into the Strait of Hormuz. These islands are heavily fortified, but small size and limited natural cover, making invasion difficult. Finally, the Hormuz Island Group, which includes Qeshm, Hormuz, Larak, sitting at the gateway of the Strait of Hormuz, control over these islands, giving Iran leverage over global oil shipping lanes. And their proximity to the mainland, making offensive operations extremely risky. Any ground operation into Iran would have to be highly specific, limited in scope as well. Otherwise, it could lead to endless deployments with huge costs and limited success, similar to past conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq. Washington's high-risk military operations have failed before. Operation Eagle Claw in 1980 to rescue American hostages in Iran failed after mechanical issues. A sandstorm and a helicopter collision leading to the deaths of 8 American soldiers. In 1993, an attempt to capture a Somali warlord in Mogadishu ended in the Black Hawk Down incident, with 18 US soldiers killed. These failures highlighting the deadly stakes involved in any military mission inside Iran. The mission to erase Iran's nuclear future remaining one of the most perilous and complex challenges faced by Washington and Israel as well, with mountains, deserts, islands forming multiple layers of natural defense in a way, and Iranian missiles, drones, military, of course, waiting. The line between success and catastrophe is rather thin. Experts say all these make such kind of operations unthinkable in a way, and high-stakes gambles like no other. As West Asia has entered the 5th week of that war, US President Donald Trump insisting that a deal with Iran is possible. At the same time, the region is witnessing massive military deployment. Iraq's Popular Mobilization Forces now joining forces with Iran. As per reports, a convoy belonging to PMF, consisting of pickup trucks and men in military attire, entered Iran over the last weekend, while Iranian state media described it as a humanitarian convoy carrying 70 tons of food and medical supplies. This has larger implications in the context of the ongoing war. Just to tell you more about the PMF and why this is significant, in the current scenario, it's basically an umbrella organization of armed Shia groups. It was formed in 2014 to fight the ISIS. It is believed to have close ties with Iran. In 2016, the government formally integrated PMF as part of the Iraqi armed forces, but designated it as an independent military formation. As per estimates, PMF is believed to have close to 238,000 fighters with an annual budget of $3.6 billion US dollars. On the 28th of March, PMF's headquarters in Iraq's Kirkuk, located adjacent to a police facility, hit in an airstrike, leading to the deaths of at least 2 policemen. The Iran-backed outfit squarely placing the blame on Israel and the US. Earlier this week, PMF sites in central Iraq's Babil province and western Iraq's Anbar province were also attacked. And a week ago, Iraq granted the PMF the right to defend itself in the wake of the West Asia war.
The Council decided the following. Firstly, to confront and respond to military attacks carried out by military aircraft and drones targeting the headquarters and formations of the Popular Mobilization Forces Commission and other formations of our armed forces using available means.
Now, this also comes at a point when the US has rushed thousands of troops to West Asia, reports suggesting they could be used to seize the Karg Island, which handles 90% of Iran's oil exports, or take part in an operation to extract the enriched uranium. The US troop size, meanwhile, has swelled to over 50,000. As per reports, hundreds of commandos, including Army Rangers and Navy SEALs, reached the region. Additionally, thousands of troops from the US Army's elite 82nd Airborne Division have started arriving in the region. Amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli has also arrived in West Asia. It is carrying close to 3,500 sailors and Marines, as well as fighter aircraft and other tactical assets. Meanwhile, the US Secretary of War refused to explicitly rule out a ground invasion. Listen to what he said.
You can't fight and win a war if you tell your adversary what you are willing to do or what you are not willing to do, to include boots on the ground. Our adversary right now thinks there are 15 different ways we could come at them with boots on the ground. And guess what? There are.
And even as Iranian state media claims that Tehran has 800,000 personnel across the Army IRGC Basij to counter a possible ground invasion by the US, the PMF's entry serving as a huge boost if Trump eventually greenlights boots on the ground. The crown jewel of the US Navy is in the dock in Croatia after being forced to leave the war zone in West Asia. A 100,000-ton steel giant, once meant to project absolute power, is now making a silent exit under a cloud of controversy, leaving behind a string of questions. We are looking at the claims and counterclaims behind the USS Gerald Ford's sudden withdrawal and the claims of a humiliating retreat by Iran.
The most advanced war machine ever built, a nuclear-powered fortress capable of launching waves of stealth fighters into the heart of any conflict. The USS Gerald Ford was the ultimate deterrent, a massive shadow looming over West Asia. But now, that shadow is gone. And the questions being asked in its wake are shaking the foundations of American naval supremacy. The world's most expensive aircraft carrier is officially out of the fight in the region. Pentagon confirmed that the Ford has been pulled from the front lines for for urgent maintenance in Greece, but the timing of it has sparked speculation. Iran says the unthinkable has happened, that the mighty USS Gerald Ford was forced to retreat, not by direct confrontation, but by the looming threat of Houthi missiles. According to Iran's Revolutionary Guard commanders, Yemen's Houthis pushed the carrier strike group back. They describe it as a humiliating retreat. However, Washington tells a different story. There is no official confirmation of any forced withdrawal. Yet, questions have surfaced, because separate reports suggest that the USS Gerald Ford may not be fully combat ready for months. Estimates point towards a 12 to 14-month window before peak operational capability. A massive fire on board the aircraft carrier raged for 30 hours, leaving many sailors injured. With the USS Gerald Ford gone, US is left with only the USS Abraham Lincoln to lead the battle against Iran. Iranian forces have claimed the attack on Abraham Lincoln, but the US military asserts that the supercarrier remains operational. In essence, the US has only one aircraft carrier in the region, signaling strategic vulnerability. With the way the war is escalating, this gap truly matters. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
The Israel-Hezbollah front, meanwhile, is turning deadlier by the day. Soldiers are falling, civilians are fleeing, and even UN peacekeepers are now caught in the crossfire. As the war in the region deepens, Lebanon is paying a heavy price. Our next report telling you more.
The conflict between Israel and Hezbollah is escalating, with no signs of slowing down. Israel has confirmed the death of a 19-year-old sergeant killed during combat operations in southern Lebanon. His funeral, marked by grief and military honors, is a stark reminder of the human cost of this war. But the losses do not stop there. 4 more Israeli soldiers were killed in a close-range gun battle with Hezbollah fighters in southern Lebanon. The clash escalated further when an anti-tank missile was fired during evacuation operations. On the other side of the border, Lebanon is facing a humanitarian crisis. More than 1,200 people have been killed in Israeli attacks, and over 1 million have been displaced since the war expanded on March 2nd. Entire regions in southern Lebanon have been evacuated as Israel intensifies airstrikes and ground operations.
We wish to return to our hometown and our village. We don't want the enemy to continue occupying our land. This is our country. Yes, we are in Beirut, our city and our country, but we want to go back to our land and our hometown.
Schools have turned into shelters. Cities like Tyre are struggling to house tens of thousands of displaced families, with local authorities warning that conditions remain dire.
We're living here, and no one knows what's going to happen to them. The situation is still very bad. Even here in Tyre, conditions aren't good. The children are stuck inside and can't go anywhere.
Netanyahu says peace deal between US, Iran won't stop Israel's war on Hezbollah in Lebanon. And now there's a new dangerous dimension. United Nations peacekeepers are also being killed. 3 Indonesian peacekeepers have been killed in separate incidents, with the UN calling the attacks possible war crimes. As missiles continue to fly and ground battles intensify, this conflict is no longer contained. It is expanding, destabilizing, and growing deadlier with each passing day. Bureau Report, WION World as One.
Before we go on any further, a quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. A big move by India's Ministry of Information and Technology. It has proposed new amendments to make tech companies more accountable for user-generated content posted on their digital and social media platforms. We are telling you all that you need to know. If you thought vaping was okay, fresh evidence revealing how vaping causes lung and oral cancer. Masood Azhar's brother has died under mysterious circumstances in Pakistan. We're getting you the complete story in just a bit. All this and more coming up. A blunt refusal from a key NATO ally has once again put the spotlight on a critical vulnerability in America's war machine. Poland has said no to Washington's alleged request to sending its Patriot air defense systems to West Asia. And this rejection comes at a very significant point when the United States is reportedly burning through its most advanced missile interceptors against Iranian missiles and drones at a pace it reportedly cannot sustain. As per reports in Polish media, the US had quietly sounded out Poland, seeking the deployment of Polish Patriot battery to bolster its forces amid the intensifying war and missile confrontation with Iran. But Poland has shut this alleged request down immediately, reportedly. Poland's defense minister saying the Patriot systems will stay where they are. These batteries, he said, exist to defend Polish skies and NATO's eastern flank, making it absolutely clear that nothing is changing and there will be no redeployment, adding that Poland's security remains the absolute priority. Now, this is significant. Poland operating at least 2 Patriot batteries and has ordered for the purchase of 6 more such batteries from the United States. These US-made systems can reportedly intercept incoming aircraft and missiles at distances of up to 100 kilometers, making them vital to NATO's eastern defense shield. Globally, at least 20 countries operate Patriot systems, including the United States, Germany, Japan, Israel, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Poland, Qatar, the UAE, Ukraine, among others. Washington has been scrambling for such interceptors. Now, the US has already redeployed Patriot and THAAD air defense batteries from South Korea to West Asia, highlighting the urgency of the situation. While reports in American media claim that the Pentagon is considering whether to divert weapons intended for Ukraine to West Asia, the US is also reportedly approaching all its NATO allies, looking for more air defense batteries. Each Patriot interceptor costing roughly $4 million. It is America's frontline defense against drones, cruise missiles, tactical ballistic threats. It can hit ballistic missiles at a range of around 35 kilometers and travels at speeds exceeding 4,900 kilometers per hour. Built by Lockheed Martin, the missiles are powered by a solid rocket motor. But then here's the actual pressure point. According to reports, in just 4 days of Operation Epic Fury, American Patriot systems defending Gulf states fired 943 interceptors, almost equal to what US factories produce in 18 months. And according to a British think tank, US military and Gulf states used over 1,280 Patriot missiles in the first 16 days of the war itself. Just to put that into perspective, the US manufactures only about 650 Patriot interceptors annually, and that makes it extremely difficult to replace the thousands that are being used in a matter of weeks. So now Washington is basically pulling air defense systems from multiple regions, including East Asia and elsewhere, to try and fill these gaps. And Poland's refusal is perhaps not just a diplomatic setback for the US, it is perhaps a warning that even America's closest allies, in a way, are unwilling to weaken their own defense, even at a time when the US itself is running dangerously close to the limits of its own missile shield. Since the start of the war in West Asia, Israel and the United States have been targeting Iranian leadership. And to do so, Israel is reportedly relying extensively on algorithm-driven assassination, a powerful new AI platform reportedly helping Israel track, predict, eliminate human targets with precision. According to a report by the Washington Post, Israel's AI platform ingests enormous amounts of data gathered through deep surveillance networks inside Iran, as well as from intelligence shared by Israel's spy agency, Mossad, and Unit 8200, an elite cyber operations branch of the IDF intelligence. Whether this is data garnered from intercepted communications, digital activity, phone signals, camera feeds, or even financial trails, the information reportedly helping map the movements, habits, weaknesses of Iran's top decision makers, based on which the AI reportedly then predicts behavior and pinpoints the best moment to strike. And according to the report, Israel has carried out targeted killings of over 250 senior Iranian figures since the start of the war, including the strikes that killed Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And these are not random attacks, of course. They are reportedly precise, data-driven operations. What reportedly once took days of analysis, now happening in moments, for example. Decisions are reportedly faster. Strikes are quicker. Targets have less time to escape, basically. And Israel's AI system can reportedly even adapt mid-operation, updating strikes as new data comes in, tracking not just where a target is, but where they are heading as well. According to the Washington Post report, an Israeli strike in June last year that killed Amir Ali, the commander of the IRGC Aerospace Force, basically, was adjusted as he moved from an office to a nearby apartment with the help of the AI tool. However, it's important to understand here that this AI tool is not foolproof, of course, and relies heavily on the accuracy of the intelligence that has been incorporated. For example, an Israeli strike on the COM headquarters early this month was allegedly carried out with the expectation that dozens of assembly members were gathering there. However, this meeting was reportedly held virtually, and as such, no Iranian assembly member suffered any injury, even though the building was significantly damaged. Israel is not the only one relying on AI, of course, for data-driven warfare. During the opening phase of the war, the US military reportedly struck nearly 1,000 targets within just 24 hours with the help of advanced AI-driven systems. So what's clear right now is that AI is no longer a support tool. It is driving lethal decisions. The future of the conflict may no longer be just about firepower. It's also about who controls the data, how fast they can actually turn it for lethal modes of operation. The war in West Asia rages on. Big claims and rather confusing reports are also surfacing about what's really happening within Iran. With the US claiming to have killed over 40 senior Iranian leaders, intrigue remains over mysterious Iranian leader Ismail Qaani, the commander of Iran's Quds Force. After staying quiet for a while, he has spoken out and has, in a way, this has also put him back in the spotlight. He has rejected claims that Iran has been weakened, saying that the region is moving towards a new order. In fact, he claimed that the Israeli Prime Minister's plan for expanding a security belt in the region has failed. He credited Iran-backed groups like the Hezbollah and the Houthis for exposing what he called false Israeli promises. Qaani added that coordination among these forces has reached a whole new stage, stating that the war room of the resistance front has become unified. He sent out a clear message: get used to the new regional order. Now, he has been around for decades. He joined the Revolutionary Guards after the 1979 Iranian Revolution and fought in the Iran-Iraq War. He rose through the ranks and eventually took over the Quds Force. And in 2020, after Qasem Soleimani was killed in a US airstrike, over time there have been rumors suggesting that Qaani may have had links with Israeli intelligence. Some claims say he left places just before strikes happened. Others pointing to alleged material shared by Mossad, including a photo from a secret meeting. These claims have never been confirmed. There have also been multiple false reports about his death. In 2024 and again in 2025, some media outlets said he was killed, and each time he later surfaced on television alive. At one point, there was speculation that Iran may have detained or investigated him internally, but there has never been any clear proof of all of the speculation. Qaani has survived multiple attacks that killed other top leaders around him. In several cases, he is reported to have left locations just before they were targeted, like we said. And this includes incidents linked to strikes on senior Iranian officials. The reported killing of the Hezbollah leader, Hassan Nasrallah, and even during the 12-day war in 2025. Because of this, some people have started calling him the man with 9 lives. But then many questions remain. Are these reports about major leaders being killed accurate? Or are they part of a larger information war? And why does the mysterious Qaani keep surviving attacks that kill others around him? The war in West Asia could further impact your pockets, your phone, even your healthcare. The issue is no longer just about oil. Rather, this is also about helium, a gas that you rarely think about perhaps, but one that the modern world simply cannot function without. And as of now, a global shortage is reportedly quietly building up. Now, helium may be invisible, but its impact is just about everywhere. It powers the production of semiconductors, the tiny chips inside your smartphone, laptop, car, even the systems driving artificial intelligence. Without helium, chip factories slow down. And when chips slow down, most things reportedly get expensive, whether it is gadgets or even vehicles. The helium crisis reportedly started when the ongoing war in West Asia disrupted supplies from Qatar, one of the world's biggest helium producers. A strike on Qatar Ras Laffan gas facility on the 19th of March made matters worse, damaging critical infrastructure that experts say could take years to repair. The attack on Qatar's facility came just a day after Israel struck Iran's critical South Pars gas field, remember? Nearly 1/3 of the global helium supply has reportedly already been impacted due to the war. Now, for the common man, this basically means rising prices and delayed deliveries, whether it's the next smartphone that you purchase, that it is expected to cost more, or whether it is the car that you plan to buy, which could also take longer to arrive. So those are the implications for you. But then the impact does not just stop there. Helium is also essential for MRI machines in hospitals. A shortage could also strain healthcare systems, delaying critical diagnostics. Scientific research and space missions also depend heavily on this gas. The supply chain is reportedly under stress. Transport routes through the Strait of Hormuz remain disrupted, leaving around 200 specialized containers reportedly stranded. Even when helium is available, moving it safely is a challenge. It must be stored at extremely low temperatures, and reportedly only a limited number of containers and carriers can actually handle it. And experts warn that companies can only store helium for a short period of time before it becomes unsafe. So that's the other challenge. So it means stockpiling is also not a long-term solution here. For now, most chip makers are reportedly managing with existing reserves. But then the crucial question is, how long can that buffer actually last? Because if this shortage deepens, the ripple effects will reach households, especially in a world driven by technology. Humanity is preparing to return to deep space. More than 5 decades after the last footsteps on lunar soil, NASA is ready. And this time, it begins not with landing, but with a daring journey around the moon. Our next story bringing you the details of this 10-day flyby around the moon. Take a look.
For years, the moon has remained close, yet untouched by human presence. Silent, distant, watching. Now the wait is about to end, not with a landing, but with a test of endurance, precision and ambition. NASA is set to launch Artemis II, the first human mission to travel towards the moon since Apollo 17. A historic return, but with a different goal. NASA began its countdown for launch to moon in more than half a century on Wednesday, April 1st.
Get the opportunity to send our crew farther than anyone's gone before, and it's an incredible moment for the Artemis generation, and we're excited and we are ready to press. I got the opportunity to talk with Reed earlier today, and when the teams are ready and when the spacecraft is ready, the crew is ready and excited to go.
The 10-day mission begins on April 1st. Liftoff, the most critical moment. The spacecraft rises, breaking free from Earth's grip. Hours later, it settles into Earth's orbit. April 1st to April 2nd is about checks, systems, stability. Every detail scrutinized before the journey outward begins. Then comes the push. The spacecraft fires its engines to leave Earth's orbit. By April 6th, the crew reaches the moon. Then the crew swing around the far side and heads back to Earth. The 4 astronauts set to carry out the moon voyage are Americans Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Koch, along with Canadian colleague Jeremy Hansen.
So what I'm really excited about is to hear what their perspective is once they're on the opposite side, looking at the lunar surface large and the Earth as small. So I think that would be really interesting to hear their words.
The Odyssey will mark a series of firsts. The first time a woman, a person of color, and a non-American will venture on a moon mission. But getting it off the ground has not been simple. The Artemis II mission was originally due to take off as early as February, but repeated setbacks stalled that goal and even necessitated rolling the rocket back to its hangar for analysis and repairs. And then there is the weather. For now, the countdown is on. The fingers crossed. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
on to India now, where the Ministry of Information and Technology has proposed new amendments to the IT Rules Act 2021 to make tech companies more accountable for user-generated content posted on their digital and social media platforms. The proposals, building on changes already introduced earlier this year. On the 30th of March, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology proposed new amendments to the IT Act Rules 2021. The proposed changes including making government advisories to digital platforms legally binding mandates, requiring platforms to issue regular content advisories to users, and expanding the ambit of the Digital Media Ethics Code to include non-publishers who post on news and current affairs. India has been tightening its rules, its IT rules in 2026. In the month of February, in fact, a formal category for AI-generated or synthetic content was created. Platforms are now required to label such content clearly and ensure that it cannot be altered or stripped of its origin. Takedown timelines have also been drastically shortened, from 36 hours to 3 hours. From 36 hours to 3 hours. If notified, the proposed changes basically will make compliance to government advisories legally enforceable. Until now, platforms like Meta, Google, X operated under something called safe harbor. They were not legally responsible for what users posted as long as they followed the due process. And while the government did issue advisories, especially around deepfakes, misinformation, and AI content, these were not enforceable. Under the proposed amendments, ignoring a government advisory could cost platforms their legal protection. And the proposals also include new rules that basically require platforms to regularly warn users about what they can and cannot post. Crucially, the new provision extending the application of rules that deal with the grievance redressal mechanism for publishers to individuals who cover news and current affairs. Until now, the Digital Media Ethics Code primarily applied to entities registered as publishers of news and current affairs. This change would bring ordinary users posting news content on platforms like X, YouTube, or Facebook within the ambit of the same framework. So what does all of this mean for the average user? On one hand, harmful content like deepfake scams or impersonation videos could disappear much faster. There is more accountability and arguably more safety. But there is also a flip side here. When compliance timelines shrink and liability increases, platforms could tend to play it safe. That could mean more aggressive content removal, even in gray areas like satire or political commentary, for example. The ministry has asked stakeholders to send feedback to the proposed amendments by the 14th of April. Shifting focus now to Pakistan. Months after his close relatives were killed during Operation Sindoor, Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar's elder brother has reportedly passed away. While the pro-Jaish-e-Mohammed Telegram channel circulated the news of his death, there is no clarity on the cause of his death. Anwar's funeral prayers will be held at Bahawalpur, which falls in Pakistan's Punjab province. Anwar was one of Masood's 5 brothers who was actively involved in Jaish-e-Mohammed's activities for several years. And as per reports, he was in charge of arms training, whereas his brother, Ibrahim Azhar, managed operations in Afghanistan. Last year, Anwar was reportedly made head of the Jaish-e-Mohammed's Markaz Osman O. Ali, where Masood Azhar temporarily lived. Masood Azhar is one of India's most wanted terrorists. He founded the Jaish-e-Mohammed in 2000, and this terror outfit is responsible for several terror attacks in India, including the 2001 Parliament and 2019 Pulwama attacks. In fact, Pakistani leaders, though, have often feigned ignorance about Assad's whereabouts, claiming that this terror outfit is defunct. On the 7th of May 2025, his brother-in-law was killed when Indian forces targeted the command headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur. And this marks the second incident of a terrorist dying in Pakistan over the last few days itself. On the 21st of March, senior Lashkar-e-Toiba commander Chaudhry Bilal Arif was shot and stabbed to death inside the outfit's heavily guarded headquarters in Muridki. He oversaw fundraising operations and participated in terror attacks on Indian soil. While his murder raised questions, it also later emerged that he was killed due to a personal grudge. Over the last few years, Pakistan has seen a number of terrorists being killed by unknown individuals. For instance, Zahur Mistry, one of the hijackers of the Indian Airlines flight IC-814, was shot dead by two bike-borne assailants in Karachi's Akhtar colony in March 2022. The mysterious killings continued unabated in 2023. Paramjeet Singh, leader of the banned terror outfit Khalistan Commando Force, was killed by unidentified gunmen when he had gone out for a walk in Lahore. In October 2023, one of India's most wanted terrorists, Shahid Latif, was gunned down near Noor Madine Mosque in Sialkot. This Jaish-e-Mohammed leader was the mastermind of the 2016 Pathankot attack. Last year, top LET commander was shot dead by unidentified assailants. He was wanted by India in connection with multiple terror attacks. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks for watching.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances, power never stands still. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Damascus to Doha, the West Asia Post cuts through the chaos to reveal the region that shapes the world. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is the West Asia Post, the region's story, the world's impact.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Beyond the noise and rhetoric, no election, no ballot issue too small. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. More than just headlines. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is raised to power. Only on WION. World is one.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances, power never stands still. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Damascus to Doha, the West Asia Post cuts through the chaos to reveal the region that shapes the world. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is the West Asia Post, the region's story, the world's impact.
Five states, one powerful voice. From Tamil Nadu to West Bengal. Kerala to Assam. Every vote shapes the future. Get the election pulse only on WION.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances, power never stands still. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Damascus to Doha, the West Asia Post cuts through the chaos to reveal the region that shapes the world. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is the West Asia Post, the region's story, the world's impact.
Get the latest update.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one.